In this video I'm going to talk about the sun, so we can really see what the sun is doing for us. And like I mentioned in the last video, it's really all about the sunlight, and then a little bit of Jupiter's light. These two planets are by far the most important. As we know, all the other planets revolve around the sun. The sun is really the central figure of our solar system. What's really unique though is that the sun itself rotates around a point in our solar system called the Barycenter. So, we're taught originally that the sun is here and all the planets are revolving around the sun. It's really not what's happening. The sun is making these little motions like this, while all the planets revolve around it. So the center of our solar system is not the sun, it's the Barycenter, which is a point that the sun revolves around. The reason the sun revolves around that point is because of the gravitational influence of Jupiter. It's actually large enough that as Jupiter goes around, the sun moves around the Barycenter. And it takes the same length of time as a rotation of Jupiter around the zodiac, a little under 12 years. So just from an astronomical point of view, we can really see how these two planets are just really important players. They're really the planets that are going to move our universe. Okay, so you've got your world. These two planets, so much hinges upon them. The other planets, are really auxiliaries to these other two planets, to the Sun and Jupiter. The Sun is the king and the Jupiter is the enlightened Brahmin, the person who has all the wisdom. So the king has the power to act, but the action was always done under the guidance of Jupiter, the wisdom. The same way that, the sun is sitting there lighting up our whole solar system, but Jupiter is saying, okay, sun, let's move around here a little bit. And actually is dictating the sun to the sun where the sun should be in our solar system. Okay. All right, so I hope I can cover all this well. There's a lot to cover about the sun. This is going to be the longest of the 7 classes, one for each planet that's coming up. Starting with the deity. The deity of the sun is Agni. That's the primary deity. And Agni is the fire that's within everything. It's a symbol, and the idea is everything burns. You can unleash energy from anything. So you get a piece of wood and you burn it, you're essentially unleashing the energy in it. So Agni is the energy within anything. And it's the energy that pervades everything. Everything has energy within it. Everything that exists has an energy potential. Now we've taken this concept of fire much, much beyond lighting it up with a couple sparks, and a couple stones, like the primitives did. We've taken this concept of fire to the point that we can split an atom and release a huge amount of energy potential, a huge amount of fire. Okay? So the sun is this fire that's inherently within everything. And the sun is also known to be intelligent. This fire is the intelligence. So the whole energy, the ocean that's manifesting each of us waves, that energy ocean is the sun. It's the cause of everything. It's the prompting of everything. It's your inner voice, okay? It's your inner guiding system. It's the sun that's saying, always, this is the way. There's a continuity of solar force that's guiding us in every moment of our life. Or I should say, attempting to guide us in every moment of our life. And every choice we make, the sun is telling us, all right, this is the right thing for you. But are we listening to it? Because it gets filtered through all the other planets. And some of them might have bad habits attached to them. So, as I mentioned, all the planets are reflections of that sunlight. So all the other planets, as we go through our life, and it's time to use this planet, it's time to use this planet in order to make my life work, it's still the voice of the sun that's going through that planet. Okay? Astrology is all about the sun. For this reason, old astrology texts always have a benediction to the sun. Okay? It's just something they do. So the all-pervading energy that's within everything is the sun. Okay? Shiva is another deity of the sun. This deity is more in the context of the work we do. Meaning that the sun is here to change us. It's here to transform us. There's a transformative process that has to happen in your life before you can fully embrace your sun. None of us are born as our sons. We're trying to shine that light of the sun. But none of us are born that way. Okay? Now the reason that is because when we're born, we start, the first year of life is the age of the moon. As I've taught in other courses, there's these different ages. The age of the moon is from 0 to 1. And the moon is a reflection of the sun. So you're born as a reflection of your potential. Okay? As an infant, you're not in the place with yourself, with your power, with your intelligence, your brain's not even developed, to truly be yourself. You're going to just be conditioned. You're completely receptive to all the conditioning influences around you, to what your parents do or don't do, to whatever things happen or don't happen to you. And those are conditioning influences. So you don't have a chance of shining as your sun when you're born. You just don't have it. You're going to be your moon, which is a reflection of your best self. It's the best you can do in the context of the life you're surrounded by. That's the moon. I'll talk about that more in the next video. But the sun is really who we really are. And we're essentially growing into that. After the age of the moon, we have the age of Mars, the age of Mercury, the age of Venus, the age of Jupiter. And finally, at 50, we go into the age of the sun. The age of the sun is where we're most, biologically ready to live as ourselves, to shine as ourselves. Why? Because by that time we've fulfilled enough responsibilities, hopefully we've got enough money, that we can have a little more freedom from all the pressures of life and say, screw it, this is how I need to be. Okay? The very opposite happens when you're born. When you're born, you have nothing except you can open your mouth. Your only option is to be receptive and open your mouth, or to close it. That's being a baby. So these two lights, which really represent who you are to a great degree, the moon and the sun, start with the moon. Those conditioning influences. So much of who you're living as is based on that first year of your life. Okay? So, it's a process of change and transformation to become yourself. That's the sun, that's Shiva. So there's this agency of Shiva as I'm going to break things down, I'm going to destroy things that aren't you. Throughout our life, we're going through this process of destroying what's not us. We don't have to become ourselves. We just have to destroy what we've accepted as us that's not us. Okay? What is us is always there. Okay? But it's a transformative process of breaking down what's not you throughout your life to really shine as your sun. And for that reason, it's an intense process. That very reason makes life an intense process. That's why life is not easy. Because we are the sun, but we don't get to be our sons at birth. If we started our life with the sun, we'd grow up with intelligence, with will, with strength, with the capacity to act, and our whole lives would be different. But we're not. We're born as a completely receptive being, and therefore we start life with the age of the moon. Okay? Now, the sun in the kingdom is the king. So we're essentially learning to become kings of our kingdom. And again, it's a transformative process. Are you a better king? Okay, now, a king is a king because he has a kingdom. The sun is the king, Leo's the kingdom. So, in our lives, the sun in our chart is, are we living our kingdom? The sun is saying, this is your world. Okay? And our inner voice is saying, this is my world. Okay? How does it say that? Because when things happen to us, our inner voice says, yes, that's your kingdom. That's what you're here to do. So a son that's in a good habit is a king of his kingdom, which means he's in the habit of taking responsibility, and again, the key word here is responsibility, for his kingdom. When a son is having a bad habit, what's essentially doing, it's taking care not of its kingdom, perhaps no kingdoms, and very likely other kingdoms. So, are you living the life of the king in your kingdom? Or are you living the life of a pauper in another kingdom? Are you living the life of a king trying to hijack another person's kingdom? Are you living as a king who has a kingdom but doesn't realize it? Those are all bad habits. for different reasons, as we'll learn, as we learn about the specific Lajitati Avashas, the sun will decide to get into the bad habit of not being responsible for its kingdom, which means not being responsible for its life, essentially, right? Because this whole sun is, I'm a king in my kingdom to live my life as my kingship and kingdom dictates, okay? We're all here to be our own kings of little worlds or big worlds, okay? But we don't often embrace that responsibility. So are we in the habit of being the king in and taking care of our kingdom, or are we in the habit of not? That's so much of what the sun does, and it all starts there. If you're engaging in a kingdom that's not yours, or accepting a role in a kingdom that's not yours, where you're not the king, then the rest of your life can't work out. Your life is not going to work out if you're the king of France in exile again, okay? You have to be in your kingdom. So many people are not living their life in their kingdom. They feel their life's going to be better in someone else's kingdom, or taking care of someone else's kingdom, or being anything, being a slave in someone else's kingdom. People are in the habit of, okay, I'm in the habit of not having a kingdom. It's that simple. Are you in the habit of having a kingdom or not? We all have a kingdom, but we're not in the habit of the kingdom. When our kingdom comes to us, we ignore it. And instead of choosing to embrace our kingdom and do something with our kingdom, which means do something with our lives, to find our life, the starting point of our life, we're in the habit of, I'm going to go over here and take care of this person's kingdom. And the way that people decide to take care of other people's kingdoms or to serve other people's kingdoms is so vast. Again, it's very, very different. It's very, very unique for everybody. But it's a bad habit if the beginning of your life starts with someone else's kingdom but your own. Okay? Now, the self aspect of the sun is the Sarva Atman, which means Atman is the soul or the self, and Sarva means of all. It's the soul of all. It's the self of all. Again, it's that self that is in the Agni, that is the Agni, that conscious self that pervades everything. It's our higher self. My highest self and your highest self are the same consciousness. And then we have multiple different lower levels of ourself, which are all differentiated. But the sun is that soul of all. It's that consciousness that we all share. It's the light that pervades all of us. And that light has something in store for all of us. And it's working in synchronicity. It's moving my life and my kingdom right next to yours harmoniously. Okay? So if my kingdom dictates I have to do this, and your kingdom dictates I have to do this, and if it's really what our kingdoms are dictating, wow, those things are actually supporting each other, even if they're not. They're actually standing right next to each other, right for each other. Okay? But if someone comes into my kingdom or I go into someone else's kingdom and I try to take care of their kingdom, no, their kingdom, it's going to be disharmony, it's going to be frustration, it's going to be ego trips, it's going to be depression. Everything's going to tumble apart. Okay? So all of our kingdoms are meant to operate harmoniously together, because it's all one great kingdom ultimately. But each of us has a little kingship of our own. Okay? And if we embrace that kingship and we're responsible for that kingship and we follow that, which means if we find our own life, which is our kingdom, and we live our own life, then we won't have these disharmonies where kingdoms are clashing and getting confused. Where what I need to do and you need to do and they need to do makes us want to kill each other or hate each other or get hurt by each other. When those situations happen, it's because so often people are not living their lives. Because if we're all truly living our lives, what all of us do makes everyone else's life work out. Okay? It allows the space for everyone to have their kingdom. But if we start encroaching upon other people's kingdoms, or withdrawing the borders of our kingdom, then things get confused, things get muddled. And that's the very beginning of all of our problems. It's like Byron Katie said, mind your own business. That's a big part of the sun. It's my kingdom, my business. Leo has the Gemini result of being in your own place. It really has to do with, this is my place. This is where I'm focused on my place, my life. When the sun's in a bad habit, that means a person didn't have the habit to welcome their life and define their life. We need to find our life and welcome it. And we need to take it and do something with it. But some people are not in the habit of doing anything with their lives. Okay? They're not in the habit of living their lives. The sun is just a very basic thing. Are you in the habit of living your life? Or are you in the habit of living some other life that's not you? And your sun is saying, hey, this is my life. This is really it. But if it's in a bad habit, some other thing, a doubt, an insecurity, a fear, something, an attachment, something makes a person decide to not live their life, but to live some other life. And when that happens, the foundation of our life is ruined. Okay? The sun is our foundation. The tissue is the bones. The foundation of our bodies are bones, right? Within the bones, the skeletal system, we have such energy potential, okay? And so even the potential for health is in our bones. Our bone skeletal system is so very important. A big part of our immune system is in our bone marrow, again, which is part of the greater skeletal system. So the reason I put the body parts here is because if people are not living in accordance with their kingdom on some level, then they'll often have problems with their bones. Okay? So we can look for like the physical problems and say, oh, okay, right away you know there's something going on with that planet. Now, what's really interesting about bones, you can have all kinds of bone things going on. You know, there's so many bone diseases, right? But one of the most interesting is the Shiva part. Let's break a bone. Because Shiva is all about busting stuff up. He's the destroyer, right? Let's break a bone. So if you've ever had a bone broken, it basically means your foundation of your life is being changed. There's something about the foundation of your life that needs changing. Okay? And it could be intense. I've broken 1, 2, 3 bones. Okay? That's a lot of good bones to break. So if you're breaking bones, think about your life and think about the foundation of your life and how the foundation of your life, there was something that wasn't your life. And so Shiva comes along and breaks your bones, symbolically speaking. Your bones knit, but you've had a change in your foundation. Okay? So whenever someone comes with bone issues or someone breaks a bone, right away you should think, aha, they're changing their foundation of life, which means they're in a process of needing to, or perhaps actually doing, finding their lives, living their lives more. The only life you can live is your own. Any other life is going to cause you grief. Okay? All right. The taste of the sun is pungent. Okay? Now, there's actually 5 tastes, and they have to do with most of the other planets, not the elemental planets, but 5 of the planets. Then there's 2 tastes that are not exactly tastes; they're sensations. Okay. The pungent taste of the sun is not actually a taste. You do not have taste buds that recognize that pungent, spicy taste. Okay? That's literally the feeling of heat on your tongue. So if you take the thing that makes your tongue feel pungent and hot, and you put it in your eyes would go, ouch. You know, they would have the same sensation of heat. So it's a sensation that pervades us. Now, when we have this sensation of heat, our whole chemistry changes in response to that. Okay, and of course the sun is hot. So the idea of this pungent taste is that how do you respond when life gets hot? How do you respond when life gets intense? Right? Isn't that when the king really shows his capacity for kingship? When things get hot? You know, as we even use that expression, oh, things are heating up. You know, oh, it's the 9th inning of this ball game and things are heating up, you know. Things are always heating up. That means it's time to really see if a person is living the right life for themselves. Okay? If we're living the right life for ourselves when things heat up, that's when we succeed. That's where we can come through. Everything comes through because everything was right. But if not, that's when we get frustrated. Because heating up, also in pungency, frustration, the burning taste, is also being frustrated and angry because things aren't working out. So things don't work out to a way that you can be okay with, or that you're actually really happy about, because the things you tried to do weren't you. So every time you make a decision to take on something, to do something, to spend time with someone, or make a promise, or any time you do anything, it ends up with you having a negative, happy feeling. Okay, a feeling of feeling frustrated and angry, which is always part of our negative feelings, isn't it? It's because the thing you said yes to, or the extent of the thing you said yes to, something about the thing you agreed to let in your life wasn't your life, wasn't right for you. Or perhaps the thing that was right you said no to. And then 3 weeks later you're like, fuck, I should have taken that trip. Damn, I knew I should have gone on that trip. You ever done that? Because your friends decided to go and these amazing things happened to them that you always wanted to happen and you knew you should have gone, but you didn't. So, at the end of it all, this sunlight, this heat, pervades all the other planets. All the other planets are emitting some of this warm sunlight. But the bottom line is this inner voice, which is really the voice of the sun, of the soul communicating to our dull human consciousness, what's right for us to do. There's this theme of, this is your life, therefore this is what you have to do. And a healthy, habitual son that's in the habit of saying, yes, this is my life, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm here to do, that recognizes this is what I am and this is what I'm here to do. I know I'm the king of this, I know this is my kingdom, I know this is where I have to put my energy. If we listen to that part of us that knows. Your brain doesn't know. So if you think you know, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. It's if you listen to the part of yourself that knows, that inner intelligence, which is the intelligence of the sun. If you listen to that, you're off to the right start. But that doesn't mean you're home free. Because you might get to Mercury and fall all over the place and slide back until you're like way back in the worst part of your kingdom again. Okay? So, watch this pungency. Is it the heat of victory, the excitement of that, the shine and glory of victory? That's a hot moment. We use that word, they're hot. What does that mean? That means a person is essentially in their power. They'll say that he's really hot to fight today, like in a boxing match, Look at him just put the, heat up on that guy. We use this expression of living our lives with power and force. But also that heat can be the heat of living the wrong life and just getting frustrated and angry and upset. So, that's the result. That pungency is the result of living your life right or wrong. Do you want the good heat or the bad heat? Okay? The sun doesn't have a bodily power. Only the elemental planets have that. The knowledge of the sun, the intelligence of the sun is the Gita. Okay, that's the primary intelligence of the sun is Gita. What is Gita? It's not the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Gita is the song. Now, Bhagavad Gita is the song of the Lord. Okay? And it's essentially, the Bhagavad Gita is a way of being that works in harmony with life. Okay? And what Gita ultimately is, it really is that. It's the song. It's the song of life. We have this saying, he dances to his own tune. Right? Well, geez, that's our song. See, we all have a tune. We all have a song. And it really, really is music. The whole universe is music. A song. There's a song to it all. And sometimes people in spiritual experiences will experience the universe or experience something simply as song, as Gita. Okay, so there's this sound that accompanies truth. There's a sound, a rhythm of music that accompanies truth. And this is the song of the sun. And essentially, if you're living the life that's right for you, what do you feel like doing? You want to sing about it, right? You want to sing, right? This capacity for song is just a natural human phenomenon. And we should want to sing in our lives because we're living the right life. The question is, what songs are we singing? Are we singing those depressed, Smith songs? Are we going over Smith songs in our heads and other depressing music that helps us cry over the past? Or are we in tune with the song of our life? Okay? There's literally a tune to each of our lives. Are we following that tune? You're creating a vibration if you're living your life correctly. Okay? And that vibration has a sound to it. And your ears can't hear that sound. No one's ears can hear that sound. But your spirit can hear that sound. Other people's spirit can hear that sound. And that sound changes the world. It really, really does. It's a vibration that changes things. So if you're walking around, living your life, living your song, following your tune, you're creating a vibration that uplifts people around you. You're playing classical music. But if you're not, you're playing that great song. Rock and roll is noise pollution. You know that song, rock and roll is noise pollution, rock and roll is here to stay. Okay? I love that song. It's a great song. I love rock and roll songs. But the point I'm making is, are you noise pollution? And are you here to stay? Or do you want to be classical music? The music that when they play, the plants grow faster. The music that when you play, when people come into your store, they buy more stuff. They've all statistically proven those two things. Are you classical music or are you noise pollution? If you live in your life, you're creating a vibrancy of classical music that people will feel good around. Okay, people will want to be in your vibrational field. Okay, because their spirit will feel your uplifting music. And of course, you'll have that uplifting music to sustain you. So it's the knowledge of following your tune. It's the knowledge of your tune. That's really what the sun is. It's the knowledge that comes from being yourself. Wow, the things you know when you're yourself. It's also the knowledge of the Vedas. What's the Veda? The truth. The Vedas is not 4 books. The Veda is simply truth. Okay, it's the knowledge of truth. And there's only one truth that's the foundation of all of our lives, and that's to be yourself truly. Truth is not nice, it's not mean, it's not what people say is okay, it's not what people say is not okay. It's being what you are. It's living the life that's you. That's the only truth there is. And are we in the habit of living truthfully as ourselves or not? Okay, if we are, the things we know, you don't have to go to school, you don't have to read a book, but the things you know will be profound because the sun is intelligent. There's an intelligence of truthfully being yourself because that opens up all these channels of knowledge and wisdom within you. So anyone who's truly living themselves, say you get a carpenter dude like Jesus, but just not Jesus, just some carpenter who lives in a shack in some small village in Switzerland, and he's a carver, let's say. He carves stuff. And that's who he really is. And you go and, you meet him, and he can tell you're feeling glum, and you start talking, and somehow, when you get done, you feel better. He gave you a truth that he learned from carving. He's never been to church. He's never read the Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't know what Hinduism is. But because he's lived as himself, he carries a truth with him. He's understood truth. What I've always said is, you could find God studying or doing anything. You can experience God there if that's really who you are. So if you're really an astrologer, you study astrology, you're going to see God at the end of it all. You're going to have an experience of God. Okay, you're going to gain wisdom. If you're really here to be a prostitute, then you are going to gain wisdom and insights and have an experience of God as a prostitute. It doesn't matter what we're doing, but if it's truly what we are, if it is truly what we are, the wisdom, the Veda, the truth that we perceive is amazing. However, on the other end, if we're in the bad habit of not living as we are, then we're idiots. Then we don't know what we're talking about anymore. Then whatever comes out of our mouths, it's just confused noise. Again, more noise pollution. Okay? We can't advise someone with wisdom if we're not living our own life, because then any wisdom we think we're using has not based on our own truth. It's just parroting. And don't we see this a lot? Think about all the ministers out there who, are in jail for doing this or that. All the poor altar boy stories and all that stuff. And these are people who, these crimes and indiscretions are committed by people who are trying to guide people with truth. But it's not. It's not their truth. It's not a truth based on them embracing their life and their kingdom. You're better off being a grocery bagger if that's really you. And the truth you will learn as a grocery bagger. So when you meet these people that have these simple lives, and it was just them, and, and just the wisdom they carry with them. I remember when I first started doing readings, so I must have been 25, maybe 26, right around then, okay? And I had a client come in, she was 65. And this lady, old lady impacted me more. I remember her. I don't remember most of the millions of people's charts I read back then. I just can't remember them. But this lady, I never forget her. I remember what she looks like. I remember what she felt like, especially. So what was her story? Well, she started working as a secretary. She worked as a secretary for 25 years. She's 65 years old now. She has several rental buildings that she rents. She's getting ready to retire. She's got all this money coming in. And there was a force and power to her. And it taught me that, she was just lived this simple life. Nothing extravagant, nothing special. She's a secretary, for crying out loud. But the reality is, she was the secretary. That was the beauty of it. And I just felt like this wisdom and truth from this old lady secretary, right? Wow, was she impressive. And it's because there was a quality to her. Because that was a life that was right for her. Simply taking care of little odds and ends and helping to manage a business in her capacity, right? And she never got paid a lot. Most of the time she got paid like $10 an hour. Yet somehow it worked where she had 3 properties, like duplexes, in the LA area, which is a great area, of course, to have property, right? And her life worked for her, okay? And you could feel her presence as a king. She was a king of her life. She was the king of secretaries in my book. But I remember us talking, I remember the things she said. I couldn't help but really pay attention, because there was a wisdom of experience to it, a wisdom of this really came from my life. It wasn't, I'm just parroting, I've heard people say, oh, I'm not saying this, it's the Bible that says this. It's like, well, then shut the fuck up if you're not saying it. I can read the Bible alone. Don't parrot the Bible to me. People do that. But like the good book says, it's like, well, go live a real life and then tell me what you say about this. And when they do, it'll be a very different truth. Okay? So, when we really live the kingdom of our lives, or if we're in the habit of this is my kingdom, this is simply my kingdom, this is who I am, and that determines your kingdom. And you live in that world. It doesn't matter how big a kingdom it is. You'll have truth in your life, like this little old lady who most of her life worked for $10 an hour did. I mean, when I think of all my clients, I have more respect for her than I think just about every other client I ever met. And that's why I haven't forgotten her. Okay? All right. So you can get this idea with the sun. It's the beginning. This is the process that's pervading all the other planets. Because all the other planets are reflections of the sun. This process of, am I living my life? I want to live my life, but now there's a crisis. I have another choice to make in reference to living my life. I'm at Mars. How am I going to handle that? I'm at Venus. How am I going to handle that? Is my Venus going to live out of a good habit and continue following what the sun is dictating? Or is at that point I'm going to revert to a bad habit and go back? It's like you're trying to get clean here. We're all heroin addicts. of doing things that hijack our lives, okay? And we're trying to get clean. So maybe we're clean at the sun, and we know what we want in our life. And we know the life that's right for us. And all day long we can hear our voice saying, yes, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And you get to the point where you have to use one of the planets to do it. And instead of using that planet to do it, you just pump yourself up with heroin. And then you wake up in a grog and you don't even know what happened 3 or 4 days later. And you got to start all over again. That's literally what the other planets, the power they have. So even if you have a fantastic sun, since you're listening to that class, it means there's some other planet that's hijacking your sun's intentions, what your sun knows. We have to have a great life. We have to get through all the bad habits of all the planets. Now, if your sun is not doing its job, then you haven't got off first base yet. You haven't started walking down the road. You know nothing about your potential. The game hasn't even warmed up yet. You know, you don't even have a taste of what you can experience. You know, you have no friggin' idea. You've been living in this kingdom and that kingdom as a slave, as a lover, as a pauper, as a chief, as a false king, as a false prophet. Who knows? But you have no understanding of the capacity. You can't begin to grasp the happiness you're capable of, the experience of yourself that you're capable of. It's like over your head. It is hard when your sun is in a bad shape. It's a hard habit to get over. Why? Because it's like being a heroin addict who's never not been on heroin. It's the beginning, it's the very foundation of your being. It's your bones, you know. It's so easy to be stuck there in a bad habit sun. You really have to understand the bad habit sun. And you really have to start saying, okay, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to look for my kingdom. And I ain't going to do shit until I see my kingdom. Okay? I'm not doing anything for anybody. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not telling anyone what to do. And I'm not going to even watch YouTube until I know what my kingdom is. Why do I say I'm not even going to watch YouTube? Because, oh my gosh, the bad habit sons I see that run off to the internet to live their lives, you know. Oh, now their life is all about the COVID bullshit, about the COVID conspiracy. Really? Is your kingdom really the friggin' COVID conspiracy? Really? When you're not making enough money and you're depressed and your life is about the COVID conspiracy? No, it's not. It's just another wrong life. But yes, if you're not minding your business, you're not using your sun. Our kingdom is our business. There's 3 kinds of business, like I like to quote Byron Katie says. There's your business, their business, and God's business. The COVID epidemic is God's business. If you're supposed to be part of that, you'll be part of that. Okay? But if getting involved in COVID is not making your life better, it's not your business. If you're not happier as a result, then you're just muddling around in other people's kingdom. So one of the big ways I see people muddle around in a kingdom that's not theirs is getting involved with all this external bullshit that's on YouTube. That's not going to make their lives any better. Okay? So, if you're in the bad habit of living outside of your kingdom, if you're in the bad habit, not even realizing that there's a kingdom on earth for you, then you have to find that kingdom. Your life sucks, and it's not going anywhere you want it to go until you go into the place that's your kingdom. You can't live the right life in a kingdom that's not yours. Okay? You can co-rule the kingdom on some levels, but you'll still always have your own little kingdom. That's essentially you, where you're listening, you're strumming to your tune, and you're getting the wisdom that is you. You're not borrowing wisdom, you're not quoting wisdom from YouTube videos. You've embraced yourself. Okay? It's a very hard thing to do. You have to seriously break your patterns more than anything else. It's the bones. You need to, symbolically speaking, you need to break your bone and knit it the way you need it to be. Okay? You have to, it's Shiva. When we look at all these deities are sort of sweet deities, until you get to Rahu, of course, But Shiva is the tough one. He's the destroyer. And Agni burns too. Agni's intense, The light of God, the fire that's in everything is intense. You can blow up a whole city with an ounce of it, with less than an ounce of it, I think, So, if you're not living your life, if you're not in the kingdom that's you're screwed. You have to find it. You got to make it a priority to say, okay, nothing else matters but me to find the kingdom that's right for me, where I have the power, the wisdom to rule, and that power and wisdom will start emerging out of me as I start living that life and ruling that kingdom. If you can't do that, all the other planets have no force. You're not even going to really hardly get to those other planets. And you'll get to them, but they're never going to work for you because you're in the wrong kingdom. You're doing things that your energy is not supposed to use. The sun is your energy. It's the energy that's enlivening you. And it wants to experience things and express itself in a way that's unique to you. And it can only do that when that energy is harnessed behind you. You can't harness that energy behind anything else. It's a waste of your energy. And when you waste your energy, what happens? You get frustrated, right? When you use your energy the right way, you have a result. And you go, damn, that felt good. But if you use your energy wrong, you're going to be angry and frustrated, right? And when we talk about the different planets that could hurt the sun, that can give the sun its bad habits, you'll get a lot more information to help you specifically with your problem. But really, you need to understand that your life does not work if it's not your life. It doesn't. Only life that's going to work for you is your life. No one else's, nothing else's, and certainly nothing you're going to find on the internet, okay? The life within you knows, though. It knows what your life is. It's egging you on. Things come up, and they say, hey, this is the road to your kingdom. And if you have a good son that's in a good habit, you go, oh yeah, I guess that's the road I'll take. But if your son is in a bad habit, when your son goes, hey, this is the road to your kingdom, you say, sorry, I'm involved in this kingdom. I really have to watch this YouTube video about COVID. Or I have to go help my dad today. Or I have to do this or that or whatever. That doesn't require me to walk the road to my kingdom. You have to get in the habit of when your kingdom beckons, you go there. Are you in the habit of going to your kingdom or not? Okay? You need to get in the habit of going there if you're not. You have no chance until you do. There's no chance at all. And again, kingdom doesn't mean a big thing. It's just the place where you can be yourself and bring your mastery and your knowledge and your inner wisdom to where you can have a beautiful experience of life. That's the place that the sun is guiding us to. And every planet, the sun uses every planet to guide us there further. Okay? A little bit, okay, you got to make another step towards your kingdom. It's Moon, it's Mars, it's Mercury, etc. And we have to do every one of those planets right to have a really wonderful experience of life that's free from frustration and anger and disease. But the beginning is the sun, the vision of your kingdom. Yogananda used to say, depression is usually the result of people not being able to visualize the great things they hope to do and the great person they hope to become. Okay? The great person you hope to become. The problem is we got this wrong definition of great. Oh, I'm going to be a great actor. Everyone's going to know my name. No, that's not what great means. I'm going to be a great leader, a great astrologer, a great idiot. No, that's not what we mean. What we mean by great is that when people meet you, they go, wow, he's a great person. She's great. You know what I mean? You just say that to people, wow, they're great. And you can't wait to see them again. That's the person all of us can be. The person that's great, that people actually want to see again. And not a person that like, do we have to go to see them? Where your kids are saying, do I have to go visit my mom? Do I have to go visit dad? Do I have to go visit your mother, your mom to your wife? Do you say that? We do say those things. Why? Because so few people are great people. But the sun is here to put us where we can be a great person. Okay? Because that's what we all have the capacity for in our own roles. Okay? And then you have a great life if you're a great person, right? Okay, I think enough on the sun. Now, where it gets interesting is that we're here to be ourselves. We're here to be a great person. But the world doesn't care. It just don't care. Okay? Therefore, the task becomes very difficult. Like on a very basic level, think about it. We're here with these bodies, right? And here we are born on a world that, honestly, it's really hard to get food that really is good for you. Like anything you eat, scientists have said, this has too much of this. This is a bad ingredient. This has a microtoxin in it. You know what I mean? You're like, geez. If you learn everything there is about food, what you know is you want to become a breatharian. And then, of course, you start studying air quality and you realize that won't work either. This world is very inhospitable to us, It really, really is. If we were cats, life would be better. We just go eat something that is running around that we can have fun chasing. But it's not that way. So there's this whole process that once you know what you're here for, you don't just get to be that thing overnight. You don't just say, oh yeah, I'm here to be this, and this is what makes me feel alive. And it just happens. No, there's a whole process of making that happen through the other planets. But the sun is that beginning point of saying, this is what makes me feel alive. This is what makes me feel great. And recognizing this is what's beckoning me to the right direction. This thing comes into your life, you're like, yes, that's where I need to go with my life. Why? I don't know. I just have to do that sometimes. You get that feeling. I don't know. Can't believe I did it. But wow, it changed my whole life. It's something I usually wouldn't do, but I did it. And wow, everything in my life is working out now. And I've heard people go through crazy adventures. At the end of it say, I never thought I could ever have such a great life. Because the kingdom beckons. It does. It beckons you all the time. But are you in the habit of following the yellow brick road to your kingdom or not? Okay? So think about that. That's essentially the sun. It's the first, it's your start. It's your beginning. If you're not in the habit of following the road to your kingdom, how are you going to get there, right? So get in the habit of it. And when we get into the different Lajitadhyavashtas, I'll explain the feeling that will come over you. So your kingdom will beckon. Well, if you have a great sun, you just don't, without even thinking about it, you're like on the road to your kingdom. It's just, you instinctively do it. Your inner voice says, do it. Yes, go for it. And you're going for it. But if you're in the bad habit, the inner voice says yes, and then the bad habit goes, actually, dude, or dudess, I think I'll do this. I guess I really should do this. And you follow that bad habit and it's all over. Okay? So a lot more information to come, but I really want you to understand what the sun's doing. If you just work with that, I think you can make a lot of progress if you understand this concept of how your life wants to work. Okay, thank you.